Jax. Good morning. How are you?
I am fantastic, Wendy. How are you today?
D- Doing good today. It has snowed, so it was really nice though.
Oh, I know. 12 episodes later, and we're still talking about snow.
I know we'll get there, but no, it's yeah, doing good today. Yeah.
Yeah, I know out here in New Brunswick, it's the weather forecast shows like two, 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 two. So at least we're out of the negatives. It's trending
hmm
upwards. It's trending upwards.
Right? That's what you want. Let's just stay on that line. Just keep going up, not down.
Please, you got the flip-flops out?
I do. And
Good.
even though it snowed, I wore them this morning. I mean, it doesn't go over to the edge of the flip flop, so I'm happy. It's the kind that like melted when it hit the ground. It stayed on the grass, but I get to a point where I'm just like stubborn and no, they're out. They're just out now. That's it.
Yeah, the clam diggers come out, the sandals come out. There's no turning back.
That's right. Well, welcome everybody to Putting the Field Back in Tuesday. We are back this week. It is episode 12. Yeah, it's been a great week. If you are new to our space, we're sort of a podcast dedicated to inner growth and some self-improvement, just talking about mindfulness in our everyday world and feelings and validating them, and just offering that safe space to do that and provide unique ideas. We got this. Just embrace true selves. So we are your hosts. I am Wendy.
And I am JC, the infamous, I don't know what I'm infamous for this week, Wendy, but maybe what we could be infamous for is the fact that we did not have an episode last week, and that was completely my doing, you guys. Only 12 days until I set off to St. John's, Newfoundland, where I'm going to be going on a 45-day road trip trying to sell books to raise money for cancer research. It's kind of an odd endeavor, but very important to me and a very important cause. So that's what I'll be doing in 12 days. So on the lead up to that, there's just been a lot of preparation as this entire fundraising kind of lies all on my shoulders. So take a step back from, I guess, the outside world, take a
Yeah.
step inwards, and just make sure everything's done properly so that we can actually enjoy those 45 days out on the road all
Yeah.
together. So I apologize for missing last week's episode. I guess that makes me the infamous ditcher. But
No.
so happy to be back here with Wendy for episode 12. We kind of always chat a little before we turn on record. Just we're outside of this podcast. We're really good friends, believe it or not. And yeah, we're just catching up, and it's great. I
Mhm.
was telling Wendy it felt like a month since we haven't sat down like this, even though it's been a week, felt like a month. So it's just so nice to be back. How are you, Wendy?
Doing good. I mean, it's okay. Not a ditcher. Things happen. That's a big endeavor you're about to do. And it's great to like zero in on the details and make sure you got it. There's some people that would just willy-nilly not be prepared at all. And that doesn't make the journey any more fun. So you got it.
Yeah, I feel, it's like a give and take. I sacrifice a little time with, the great community we've built right now, but then
Yeah.
45 days nonstop, 12 hours a day, people can have access to me and enjoy watching this beautiful country and the beautiful people inside of it and work alongside each other to try and chip away at this noble cause, which is cancer research.
That's right. It's an important one, no matter what. I'm loving the new Terry shirt that no
Yeah.
matter what. It's just such a like that's the thing I see. I haven't seen a lot of the ones from the like old past until you went through the foundation there. But they always just seem to like nail the simplicity, powerfulness of it. It's not a shirt covered every single inch. Some years a little more than others, but it's always just like bam, there it is. So I'm really, really loving it. Yeah.
Terry's marketing team since 1980 they've like had the vision. The fact that there's so much footage out there of Terry out like actually doing the run
Yeah,
and the the designs and the merchandise they had back then and the slogans um like they whoever did that marketing, I would love to just meet them as well because they're marketing geniuses and they've just if it weren't for them like I don't know like I was actually thinking about this the other day like what Terry did was amazing but if it wasn't for everything that got captured around it and the foundation that's kept his name alive to this day, like I don't think
yeah,
Terry would be as big of a name as he is in Canada. So it's amazing what he did, but everyone that's like built up his name since his passing, unbelievable efforts. And thanks to them, they've raised nearly $1 billion for cancer research. And one last quick thing I'm going to say, Wendy, just on that point, because people hear $1 billion. Like, why is this not solved yet? And
mm,
it's a great, like, why can't we solve something after $1 billion has been put into it? And that's the thing. Cancer, it's always mutating itself and evolving, and there's never just going to be a one singular pill you can give someone to cure cancer. The over 100
mm,
different kinds of it. So, I mean,
yes,
more lives are being saved than ever before. People are living longer with cancer. People are having way less intrusive treatments. So it's just
yeah,
unbelievable what these dollars go to. I think there's just such a conspiracy theory that, all this money and nothing's happening. People are still dying, but no one's actually looking at all the people that are surviving in 2024.
yeah, and it's really neat to be able to see. I mean, you probably have to do some digging and stuff to. I'm sure there's like stuff written up, and I'm sure there's talks, and I'm sure there's whatever to really see these dollars are being used, where they're going to. It's easy if you're not looking at that stuff to spout off the whole, well, what is all this for or whatever. You really gotta, you know, pay attention. If you're really interested in where it's all going and what it's all doing, do your research, do your homework. Yeah.
It's out there. I mean, it is out there and it's truthful, it's factual. I mean, I just not in a good way, but like when you get people like Prince Charles and Kate Middleton and like some of these high profile people that get it, as bad as that is, it's almost in a sense good for the cause because it brings so much more awareness and so many
Mhm.
more eyes and people wanting to fight for the cause. So, I mean, I wish them
Yes.
all in good health and I hope they beat it, but so interesting when these like high profile people get cancer and
Yeah.
yeah, and then ultimately they some of them lose their lives too. So
Mhm.
it's not a money thing. It's not a fame thing. It's
Yeah.
the thing that hopefully one day we can figure out.
And whether or not they lose their lives or not, it still highlights it either way. If they lose their like a high profile person, and if I'm sure if they lose their lives though, it's even more highlighted. But yeah, yeah, it's a thing. So did you get to see the eclipse? You were like epicenter.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you brought that up. The eclipse was unbelievable. Like the fact when the darkness started to descend upon it, and then when it got like the tint of the outdoors shifted, and then the
Yeah.
heat disappeared. It dropped like 10 degrees instantly. And then when that sun or the moon or however that worked, Bailey got some amazing pictures, but it like the feeling you kind of knew that was once in a lifetime, and it was like wow. And then my initial first thought goes to like, I wonder what people before science and like understanding of things, what did they think when they seen a solar eclipse, you know?
When those things happen, right? Yeah, some of the pictures I seen, and like there's footage, there's TikToks and all this stuff. The cutest. I know there was a little more cloud cover in Ontario, sort of in and around, but the cutest. Have you seen the TikTok of like all the people at Niagara Falls singing "You Are My Sunshine"? Is like, oh come on, as if there's not a tear happening watching that. That was just the cute, funnest thing to see. I mean, here we had less percentage. I was not able to see that. We were quite busy that day, so I was not able to see that, step outside for that. But Steve at work, they tried the welding helmets, and they have newer ones, so he like put it on and tried, and he's like, oh no, wait, because the newer ones, it needs the spark before it activates the.
Okay.
So yeah, like you should have went and found a Bic later. So they're like rooting around in the back of the shop to find old helmets. And he did eventually find one and be able to take a look. But even just the little, I think we had 27 or 33% coverage. There is just a different, you're like, okay, it looks a little different outside right now. Like even just with the little corner covered, yeah, it
Wow.
was a great thing. Those pictures that Tammy put up
Yes.
were pretty fantastic. Just that once it covers that ring.
Those were
Oh,
Bailey's pictures. Those were Bailey's
oh,
pictures.
those were big. They were stunning. Oh, just capturing that ring is the most. Yeah, some people were sending me pictures to from Ontario. Yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful sight. I'm glad some people got to see that.
Yeah, I guess I didn't. I heard it was like more eastern, but it still happened in the western coast,
It's
just
just
slightly.
how much coverage there was. So each province had different percentage. I
Mm.
think we were 33 actually. We were 33%. BC was 27. So it's just like, sort of less of the moon was covered, but still like put the glasses on and look to even see the little bit of coverage because it still just looks like a cookie with a big bite out of it. That's still
Mhm.
cool.
Well, let's take it back to those welding helmets because Bailey was like telling me, she's like, we better not be seeing anyone in welding helmets because if you put on those eclipse glasses and you look at anything besides the sun, you can't see anything. But if you wear
Right,
a welding helmet, you can still see. So
right.
those eclipse glasses are very much darker. So
They
maybe,
are.
like you said, the technology is maybe better on these helmets. If you flick a lighter, it gets completely dark, kind of thing. Hopefully.
Yeah, you need to like it'll be a little bit dark and whatnot, but like the newer ones have been sort of made to respond once a spark starts of whatever you're doing with the
Mhm.
welding and whatnot. And so he was like, "Oh, that didn't work." So they went and found a bunch of like older ones, and they there was a few parking lot checking it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is kind of neat. And then I'm part of a Alberta or Aurora Chasers group on Facebook, and so some people were posting the pictures that they took, at different times of the 2 hour, and it just looks like the bite of the cookie was taken out of a different part every time. It's so fun. I love it.
And then the most Googled thing an hour after the eclipse, something was along the lines of, why can't I see anymore? It was like the most Googled thing an hour after the eclipse. Probably because you looked right at it.
What's this
Like,
bright spot on my eye?
yeah, no, literally. Like, I don't know how many warnings you can give people, but hey, if they're gonna look, it's natural selection at that point.
I mean, yeah, there was lots of opportunity to not look, but yeah, that was a really fun one. And of course, the energy that comes with that one, an eclipse is such a powerful, powerful time for new. Yeah, love it, love it. This the eclipse season was a big one this time.
I'll have to send you my video. You'll have to ignore me in the background. I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my God. And it's like, it was unbelievable. I don't know. A once in a lifetime opportunity, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean it is. We've had lots of eclipses and whatnot, but this one was, it lasted longer, more people got to see it, and it was closer to Earth this time. So just lots of little things that made it different. This one was uh, a really good one, and just even the fact that the path was wider, um, more people got to see it.
And I loved watching, like you said, all those videos of all these people gathering together. Like, this was something big enough that people felt like they needed to gather for it. So, um, immaculate. Our world is an unbelievable place.
Yeah, and then always probably forgot to remind on the podcast before that the one thing I always like tell people to down as well because the shadows are just as fun. Like there's been lots of videos of people who like went out with their colanders or they found something else that has holes in it. And then when you hold it up, the shadows on the ground are like look like that half-eaten cookie or however much coverage you had. Or even if you were in somewhere that showed totality as it moved, you could, you know. So there were lots, and those are fun too, or even just like, you know, the light reflection shadows on leaves were showing the half-eaten cookie, like, oh, God, so pretty.
Love that. I love that word totality too. It's just like when you're watching those people, they're like, and now 10 seconds to totality. It's just, it's pretty epic.
And some of the pictures from space, don't even get me started, or this will be a 4-hour podcast. So we'll just stop that. I'll see if I can find one, share it in our group. But there are some stunners out there, pictures taken in space there of what that looked like. Look at your view.
Right. So we've talked the eclipse. Is there anything else that's happened like pretty big worldwide since our last episode, or was that kind of the only thing?
Worldwide. Uh, there it's been. I'm not sure if there's been anything else worldwide. There's probably going to be something really giantly big, and we're both going to be like, "How did we forget that?"
I know something will happen. Have you seen that show, The Rookie?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of clips about it where they sing their Cop Cuties song,
Oh,
and that seemed right up your alley.
oh, did it?
It just
Isn't
seemed like, yeah.
isn't it funny how you eventually get to like know somebody just enough that you're like, "Oh yeah, that's their vibe."
I know I
Just
want to
like
sing it. I want to sing it, but it's probably not appropriate for this medium.
I had a friend who went to Vegas and brought me back, like, you know, there's different stuff in the States. They're like mini Skittles. They're called Skittle Littles. So that's just an example of like someone who just knows you enough to be like, she loves anything mini.
Yeah, for you, if it were me, I'd get you anything panda. That's what I would
Yes,
look for.
absolutely. Anything panda as well. I love that when I like talk about it enough that that's all my FYP. It's like pandas being silly. I love that. So what's been putting the feel in your Tuesday? Like how have your few weeks been? I mean, I know busy, but how is, you know, everything grouping together for you?
I think so, since we didn't have, like I was saying, we didn't have last week's episode as I'm just putting the final touches on my 45-day book tour for cancer research. So things have been good. Checking off my to-do list one thing at a time. There's really not much high stress stuff on this list.
Yeah.
Um, so that's been great. Been trying to spend lots of time with Bailey since
Mm,
gonna leave a 7 month, 6.5, 7 month pregnant girlfriend behind. I feel like I literally feel like a deadbeat dad when I say that, but it's just circumstance and everything that's happened. It's kind of just
mm,
happened where there's no not going, and then unfortunately she can't come, and so it's
mm,
just the way it goes. I mean, I always like to think I'm not like a professional boxer or anything, but some of them will have a newborn kid and then they have to go to their training camp and then they don't even see their kid till it's like 2 months old because they were so focused. So, um, obviously that's not an excuse, but if some people can justify missing 2 months of their kids' beginning of their life,
yeah.
I think at least, missing the complete ending of her pregnancy, it's not great. I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is, unfortunately. So, spending lots of time with Bales, really just wrapping up the book tour. Everything's submitted, it's getting printed as we speak. I mean, yeah, and then we got our baby shower coming up this Sunday. We're gonna be doing it for the Cure Crew, everyone who sent in gifts. I don't know if you saw my post, Wendy, but there's like 50 boxes here, and some of
Yeah.
them are so generous. I mean, there's
Mm,
a crib, a stroller, a car seat, a bassinet, a little motorized like motorcycle. There's just so many generous and amazing gifts, and we're so grateful and
mm,
definitely not deserving of this much spoiling, but for my son, I'm just so grateful.
mhm.
And then there was this one comment I gotta talk about quick. I don't ever let these things get to me, but there's this one guy who keeps commenting on all my posts, and there's like the internal battle where I'm like, if I block him, then I feel like he's winning. So I don't
Uh-huh.
block him and I just let him leave all these nasty comments. But I made this video where I was just like telling everyone there's gonna be a baby shower on the 21st. We just want to thank everyone for everything you guys have sent. And then this guy, Bob123, he leaves a nasty comment on every video. But on this last one, he's like, you should be ashamed of yourself being a sophisticated beggar. You've done one good deed and now you're living off that forever. And you've got your apartment furnished and now everything for your son. You should be embarrassed and ashamed of yourself. And so I answered him and I said, thanks, Bob. I appreciate you liking and commenting on all my videos. Your comments, even if negative, help me spread my message about a future free of cancer.
They sure do.
And that's what I left it at. But I'm sure he'll come back with something else. And when I go on my book tour and continue fighting for the cause, he's gonna find another way to come after me. But I sent him a message and I said, Bob, if there's something going on and you need someone to talk to, I said, I'm here for you, buddy. Never got an answer back from him, but who knows? Might not be the end of a Bob, might be. Only time will tell.
Without putting that under the options of titles of this episode, End of Bob. See, here's the thing. This is where you'd be like, so Bob, are you married or do you have kids? Did you register for your wedding? And did your wife or girlfriend or whoever have a baby shower? If not, have you ever purchased a gift off a registry for anyone you know? That's it. So you don't have to, whatever the answer is, you don't have to engage. It's just a different form. There's lots of stuff done online. COVID has exploded our world of how we communicate, what we can do, how much we can do online, and it still be humanly personable. It didn't necessarily feel that way as much before COVID, but we all sort of had to learn how to. And
Oh
so,
gosh, yeah.
dude, like, come on. Even if you're not in either of those categories, have you ever purchased anything off a registry? Done. Like, that's just it.
Well,
Some people register for things smaller than a marriage and a baby. Like, so it just,
and the thing is like when I did the whole journey and you spend 8, 10, 12 hours with some people every single day for 160 days, that's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours you've spent with somebody. That's more time I spent with most of my friends. So
yes,
after that, you kind of form a bond, and we never even asked anyone for anything. This was all
yep,
curated out of like people that just support us. They all did this on their own. So
yep,
we're just so grateful.
yeah.
And so whatever. But I am quite tech savvy. So I spent a little bit of time diving deep and I found Bob's whole life's, I found him everywhere on the internet. I kind of
Okay.
broke it down and he just looks like a sad, lonely man. And
Mm.
I don't think he has a wife. I don't think he has children. I think yeah, he looks like he probably touches illegal substances. So, I mean, it is what it is. Poor
He's
guy.
just putting his energy, yeah, he's just putting his energy in the wrong place. And I mean, honestly, yeah, if anybody has ever, uh, even purchased something off a rich, that just is what it is. That's everybody's gonna have something to say, and it doesn't. Not you guys are doing
Yeah,
you're doing your thing.
it is what it is. There's always going to be a few in the crowd, but yeah, that was my story with Bob. And
Oh,
now at least I know Bob's identity. I mean, he's unemployed. I mean, there's not much we can do for Bob at this point. I just hope he
yeah.
takes my request. And I love
Mm-hmm.
chatting with people like that because personally, I mean, I know who I am. I know my values. I know what I stand for. So when people try and tear me down, it literally doesn't even take a chip off my shoulder. It is what it is. Those people I try to approach with kindness, love, and compassion. Maybe we can redirect that energy into something positive. But
Exactly. Like
yeah,
you say, you do your thing. You try and put your energy somewhere, but you're right. You know your values, you know your boundaries, and that's okay. There's always going to be somebody out there, right?
right. And if people want to make sure my son has everything he ever needs ever,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be embarrassed about that. Honestly, I'm going to welcome it. I want my son to be well looked after.
Right. Yeah. And it's, you guys are doing stuff too, right? Like just because this stuff is being shown because you want to share it with the people who sent things in doesn't mean, there's a bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes that they don't know, right? That they don't see. You guys don't have to highlight everything, accent everything. So yeah, people just need to like stick in your own yard.
Right. I guess, when you're putting your entire life out there for everyone to see,
Mm,
and you have a core group of people that know you very, very well, and that's kind of who you're posting for. And then some
yeah.
guy just scrolling along is going to be like, well, what the heck? How's this guy getting all these gifts, But it's really
Mhm.
not like that. The group that's kind of stuck around became like one big family. And
Yeah.
as much of people have supported me and my endeavors, I've equally supported many of the people in the Cure crew on their own endeavors and
Yep.
sent people a free hoodie just because they've been around for so long. Whatever it is, like
Mm.
we try to give as much as we get. I mean,
Yeah.
our entire thing is based off of philanthropy, so it just is
Yeah.
what it is. But people are gonna be jealous, and it is what it is.
Yep, you're gonna encounter those people on every level. You bet. You bet.
But I didn't mean to trail us off on the Bob 1 2 3 for so long. It's
That's okay.
just something that happened. So Wendy, since our last encounter, anything putting the feeling into your Tuesday?
Well, it's sort of there's lots. We've got, a few big things going on over here in our world. Sort of privacy, not necessarily talking about too much details, but there's sort of been lots of been one of the things that has been highlighted to me recently is when there's people around that are want to help or you encounter people in your journey and things you're doing. I've really noticed what people's love languages are and
Mm-hmm.
how they really stick out or how they're going to be able to sort of help in certain times or moments. And I sort of have forgotten. I hear about love languages a lot and I think they're super fun, and then I sort of forget about them and I'm like, oh my god, that's a cute one to mention. So I don't know if you know a lot about love languages or if you know what yours is.
Oh, I think I have all four of them.
I don't.
I
It's
give
hard
and
to,
receive all of them.
yeah, it's hard to nail it down. So if anybody doesn't know what love languages are, it's just sort of there's usually like four or five main categories, and it's the part of you that it's the thing that just lights you up. You live to do that. So it's like some people's love language is words of affirmation,
Mm-hmm.
quality time. That's mine.
Okay.
I think quality time, like the amount of importance that my friends are and hanging out or just connections with people. So quality time, there's physical touch,
Mm-hmm.
there's acts of service, and then like giving, receiving gifts.
Yeah.
So people like acts of service, for example, if like you volunteer everywhere or you like jump to like, okay, I'm gonna come clean your house or I'm gonna come cook meals for you or those kinds of things, or oh, you need rides to these places, like those kind of examples. So whatever, sometimes people will comment about it to you, but they won't call it a love language. They'll just be like, you're always the one to like jump up if I need something taken care of. And that person's love language is most likely acts of service. You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
yeah, if anybody knows what their love languages are, I've just been thinking about them a lot lately. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Those one love languages are important to know what yours are, and even what the people around you's love languages are, because if they can help under the category of their own love language, it really makes them feel, yes, I did
Hmm.
it.
Well, and another good thing about honestly trying to figure out your love language and others is like, um, if you sometimes you might have a friend or a partner and somehow they're just not hitting that right box for you, and that's because let's just say, for example, my love language is definitely, if I were to choose some of the highest, it's physical touch and words of affirmation. Those are two of my favorites. And my mom, I remember talking to her about love languages a couple years ago, and she was like, "Mine's definitely gift giving and receiving."
Yeah,
That
okay.
she's the only person I ever met that picked that one. And then
Okay.
my stepdad would be acts of service. So, um,
Hmm.
he likes to build things for my mother or, fix the car. It's like, big stuff like that where it's
Yes.
a big act of service. But we were just kind of talking about love languages and understanding them because let's just say, you want to receive, let's just say, physical touch,
Yeah.
but your partner gives it through um, acts of service. So you
Right.
might not feel validated sometimes through their love because they're not hitting it in the way that
Hmm.
feels directly right for you, even
Yeah.
though they think they're using their love language. It's interesting. We all have the ones we like to, how we receive them, and that's probably the one we're going to give the most. And
Yes.
but it's interesting when you actually try to like figure someone out, figure out what their language is, and then shifting away from maybe what you're used to and trying to give them what they need rather than give
Yeah.
them what you can provide.
Exactly. And not just in times of need. Um,
Exactly.
let's say you've got someone, a friend who's acts of service. And you're like, why do they keep offering to clean my house? Is there a problem here? Like, what are they trying to say? Like, you know what I mean? So sometimes even just in everyday stuff, it's really um sort of awesome to start to nail down people's love language. And as things change in your world, your own love language might change. But yeah, I think mine's most top one, probably the quality time, right? Like, because it's not just time with friends or family. It's sort of, I notice with myself, I try and preserve that quality time as well, that or even those moments. And so hence the like picture taking
Hmm.
and talking about experiences, that's all part of it. Yeah. So I've been thinking about love languages kind of a lot lately, and just the sort of human connection. And I've been reminded quite a bit about it lately. We've been in a few circumstances where a lot of the people we've encountered have are wearing masks. So you're forced to look at their eyes. And I think a lot of the time we don't necessarily do that all the time, or we forget. Um, so just by forcibly lately, that's been happening. And it's just reminding me, oh, you got to do that. And then at work the other day, when I was talking to someone, um, somebody I've worked with for many years there, but it was a serious enough conversation that they held my gaze, which they don't normally. And I realized in that moment too, I was like, oh, well, look at the color of their eyes. Like, how long have I worked here? And I've never, but the type of conversation that was happening caused this like connection of two people, really paying attention to one another. So yeah, I've just been thinking a lot about of those kind of things, and just, what makes us spark, what makes us happy to give and receive things, and just that human connection. And once in a while, just make sure you're really looking in someone's eyes or really listening. Sometimes we're talking to people and we're on our phone or what we're doing something else, but just bring to the forefront of your mind once in a while. Am I looking at this person in their eyes while I'm talking? Okay, I really need to. And then you just it sort of switches on its own. You have this little moment with someone.
Right. And well, it's coming back to, are you talking to answer or are you talking to actually
Yeah.
engage them what they're trying to tell you about?
Yes,
I think
exactly.
the greatest tool for conversations is asking questions. If you're someone who can ask a lot of questions, and I find
Mm,
like a lot of the times I love when people will talk about themselves or something they love, because then I can start asking them questions about it, and then you can
yeah.
really see someone like light up in their eyes. Finally, they get to talk about this thing they love and no one's ever asked them about it, and taking an
Yeah.
interest, a genuine interest, not just trying to hear what they say so then you can come back and say your thing, you know?
Exactly. And sometimes you end up asking stuff that's different than maybe what the normal response is. I mean, when you watch like a reporter interview someone famous, and let's just say it's for a new movie, what one of the things that drives me nuts is the same. What like you're watching Entertainment Tonight, and they're showing you like a reel of an interview with this actor for their new movie. All the questions are the same.
Hmm.
They're all the same. And where you like stop and listen is when someone's like, I read this rare interview with you back in 19 blah blah blah, and you said I love that. So yeah, that's it. You take doing a little extra work with either connecting with someone or deep diving and wanting to know something. Yeah, I super appreciate that, and I think it's obvious when it happens because it can be a little rare.
I'm sure Spencer has probably seen a lot of this, but have you ever heard of the show Hot Ones? It's on YouTube.
No,
So they have like a lineup of 10 hot chicken wings, and it's a one-on-one interview. They've had a lot of
okay,
great guests. And this guy Sean, who's the interviewer, he'll go and listen to interviews and podcasts and read magazines of the people he's about to interview, and basically really does his homework. So
okay,
when he's asking these questions, he's pulling these questions to these celebrities that have never actually been asked about these things. So if they like mentioned one time that maybe they grew up crocheting with their grandmother and they love
yeah,
it, their passion, and no one's ever asked them about it. Well, somehow he just like has the best questions that really hit home with his guests. And if you
oh,
want to like see some real master question asking and getting deeper like that, you should check out Hot Ones, because it's
totally,
there's you'll probably find instantly a couple guests that you already enjoy. And then
okay,
that the good questions added on to the fact that the further they get, they can barely, it's not going to be like a thought out fake answer, because they're so worked up with all the heat in their mouth that they're actually just speaking their mind rather than
okay.
creating like a politician's answer. So there's been some really, really great guests on that show.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check that one out for sure. That sounds well, because I also love hot food. Spicy, I don't. There's no. It's all good. Just bring it. I'm good.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I get that. I think from my dad. I'm just a giant spice person, so I think that would be super fun. And that's an interesting concept, right? Distraction. Here's a really spicy wing. Now I'm gonna ask you about this one time.
Exactly. No, exactly. If we can, we should try when I'm rolling through Calgary,
Yeah,
do like a spicy wing thing together just for fun.
let's do it.
Find like where we can find the spiciest wings and we'll go wing for wing and we'll just have some fun with it.
I think that'd be totally fun. I'm down for that. I think that's awesome.
I love it. And
Yeah. So
sorry, go ahead.
no, no, you go.
I was just gonna circle back actually quickly to love language and
Mm,
just all this kind of stuff. Just kind of in the general realm of that, I heard another thing. Um, Most people listening are probably married and have a partner, so I don't think this will apply to many people, but it's just still an interesting theory I've heard. It's called
Yeah.
the 80-20 rule. So most of our partners will tick off 80% of our boxes.
Okay.
And there might be 20% where they just don't fulfill us in that extra 20% we're needing. So they can fulfill us 80% of the time. And then 20% of the time, I mean, it's just human nature. They just won't get it every time. And
Right.
then what some people will do is they'll go since they're only getting that 80, they think something's missing, that other 20. They're like, well, if the perfect person I'd be with would have that other 20. So then they
Yes.
go out looking for that other 20, and then they end up with someone who's the other 20, but they're lacking the other 80. So it's called
Right.
80-20 rule. And I just thought it was an interesting concept because I know at least in my generation, relationships don't last. And
Mm,
lucky, I feel like I have my forever partner now, but
mm.
took some time getting here. And I just find a lot of the time, at least in my generation, people just they don't want to work and build on things. They just want to go find that other 20. And then it's a constant pursuit of never being happy because you're never just sticking to one thing and working on it,
Yeah, because you may go find that other 20, but then where did that other 80% go? It was just here.
right?
Oh, you made your choice. Like you, it's not the same person. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. That's a hard, you got to start to weigh out, right? Maybe, I mean, that's like that's why there's so many books written on love. Maybe you will find someone who checks all the boxes and is absolutely perfect. Not necessarily a commonality, but it's, maybe there's some things to sort of give or take. I mean, obviously in priority, obviously not major things that are important or life changing. You don't compromise on that. But I mean, yeah, that 80-20 is, yeah, it's a hard one.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that one out there since we were talking about love language and just
Yeah.
general. Maybe that will hit someone personally and just be like,
Yes.
maybe they left someone to find a 20 or someone
Mhm.
else left them and it kind of makes sense for them now, but
Yeah.
just thought it was interesting.
Yeah. And then the only other little things, like, one of the other things this week I've been sort of concentrating on is, if there's something going on, or if, like, I've had to sort of gather some information, get it all in sort of one place and do some things. And I'm like, oh, well, you know what? It's all in a binder. I'm going to decorate this, as opposed to just having this, I'm going to decorate this with stuff that when I look at it brings me joy. And that's something that you can do across the board, not just with that. I think sometimes we need to be reminded to decorate your world, no matter what that is. Bunch of artwork in the closet you've been meaning to put up, but when you see it in the closet, you're like, oh God, I love that. I can't wait to put it up. Put it up. Put it up. Let's make sure we're all decorating our world and keeping stuff around us that, or if there's a need of a change, or rotate stuff. I just thought that's another thing I wanted to shout out. Make sure you're decorating your world and surrounding yourself with, little things that provide joy. Just those little reminders is all you need, even if you just see a picture of a panda, like a panda keychain on your purse as you pick it up, or hanging from your mirror in your car, whatever. Just let's decorate our world with whatever makes you feel good and shine.
Oh, that is such a. If anyone were to take anything away from this episode, that's probably the most powerful thing that's been said because the world of difference your environment can make and actually your mindset is unbelievable. Like I've learned a lot in my last year. Like I had a pretty solid routine and lifestyle back in Winnipeg, building up
Yeah.
towards running across Canada and everything, to now coming out here. None of my stuff is here. None of my decorations that I had in my room and in my space that
Yeah.
curated the guy that did that. I'm learning so much and just being out here, not really having my decorations and
Yeah.
the same kind of, I don't know, decorations not only visually but
Mm.
audio wise. I haven't been listening to the same things I used to listen to, and it just can totally make you a new person. Like
Yes.
mindset is so big, and the things in your environment help honestly shift that mindset. Because some days, let's say I was feeling sorry for myself and I look at my poster and you got like even like cringy one where it's like the toughest wolf walks alone or something like that.
Yeah.
But
No,
like
yeah.
even just that you might be, and then you look at that and be like, feel powerful and
Yeah.
dangerous and ready to go out there and accomplish something.
Yeah, I mean, even listening to music, I think, is a way of also decorating your world.
Yeah.
I'm someone who thinks music is super, super important. And sometimes you just get busy. Is it on as often? Do the other people around you like it? It just depends. But, listening to music is, I've been trying to do that a lot this week to get the earbuds in while you're making supper. It can get a little embarrassing if you're really giving her to like shake it off. And then you turn around and your teenage son's behind you and he's like, what do you do? What you're so cringe, and then just walks away. But it doesn't matter. You do it anyway. You just
That's
you do it anyway. If you could, so then let me ask you this: if you could bring, like, if there was a big piece or something from your room or your house that you could bring back, is there one thing, or is there a piece of art that you already know of out there that you're like, I wish I could own that, that brings you some calm or some,
I'm a huge knickknack guy. I
yeah,
love
okay,
little knickknacks. Like, um, I
I
could
get it.
probably pull up a whole box of them here.
Oh God, I
Little
love Nick.
knickknacks, but
Yeah,
I had this little shelf back home, and it carried all of my knickknacks from all of the little gifts I'd gotten from different people and different places. So just
yeah.
that it was right next to my bed, and I had everything there from
Mm,
all the different walks of my life. And that to me was it was a constant reminder of it was just a great collection of little things that everything had such a deep meaning to me. So, and then that was just my dresser, and I just feel like my space, at least back in Winnipeg, became just so geared towards me, and just
yeah.
that's like what I was trying to say, like out here I've just learned so much because the guy was back in Winnipeg to the guy I am now, it's two different people. And I
Mm,
just like constantly try to think like, how did I get to that point where I was just like, I don't know, it's just I'm learning a lot, like a lot, and rediscovering myself and
mm,
figuring out new things. But I honestly love being in this position where I'm, when I was doing everything and I was working so hard, not that I'm not anymore, but it's hard to explain. Like when I was literally working out 5 hours a day, I had a job and I'm maintaining my life. There was just
yep.
this mindset and mode I was in, and
Hmm.
just trying to rediscover myself. Like, how did I even get to that point? And how
Hmm.
it's just been interesting. I'm not the guy I want to be, and so it's cool getting to work through the steps again rather than it's so easy to be at the top wherever and then be like tell everyone. No, I would never tell anyone, well, it's so easy, just do this. But when you're actually doing it all, everything feels so obvious. And then when you fall out of it, it's not so obvious anymore, and you got to rediscover things and refigure things out. So I've really been enjoying that process of rediscovering everything again, and just learning how to get back to that person. Not that I want to be fully that person, but it's been a journey and it's been cool.
Yeah. And being different version of that person. You can always sort of go back to being part of that person. But yeah, it is a thing, right? And that's all part of, you know, as well decorating your world, because maybe what you would decorate it with becomes different and That's super awesome. I am a knickknack person. I used to collect shot glasses. I don't remember how that started, but I'm like, bring me a shot glass, or if I went somewhere, I get a shot glass. And then I was like, you know, you just sort of like you just look at those. I mean, maybe you use them once in a while, but you just look at those. So then I try and like, no, I'm gonna get a pen from this place because I'm gonna use it, or like a deck of cards because then we're gonna play cards. But then the like the silly part of me is like, no, no, don't use the pen because then it's gonna run out of ink and then you won't be able to use it anymore.
Oh no. And then
So
everything just starts collecting.
right, yeah, yeah. No, but it's nice to have that little thing that might remind you of something. I totally get the knickknack thing. I get that.
What's your favorite knickknack if you can think of one?
Um, well, my favorite one. What is lately, I guess I do have this little tin of mints that someone brought me back from the Cape, and it's in the shape of a lobster, so that's cute because it just sort of sits out, and I'm like, oh, look, 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 it's my lobster tin, and you can't eat any of the mints out of it. Um, I get a lot of like picture frame knickknack things from places, and I'll make sure I put the picture from that in there. So
Mm,
like picture frame ones, and then pens, I guess, lately pens because so much going on and you're looking at that and you're like, oh yeah, I remember going there. And so yeah, I guess those ones would be the ones for now. There's just so many. I
but
mean, my tarot table's full of knickknacks and crystals and things like that. But yeah, I just surround myself down there with that stuff.
I love it. And just right there, you said it. You love those pens because it reminds you of when you were at that place. And then, so just right there, just talking about it, decorating your world can just
Yeah.
create new feelings and inspiration just like that. It's unbelievable.
Yes.
Here's a little knickknack I was just able to
Oh,
dig up.
look at the ball. Look at the little Marianne.
Well, they're
Yeah,
even
see,
building up out here. But
right? And then you can have a little build up at your places because sometimes it's fun too. Like if at some point maybe you go back, you and Bailey are gonna go visit. Well, you need somewhere to stay, and it's gonna be decorated already, unless mom whatever does with your room. But otherwise, it's decorated, so it's kind of neat. You leaving a bit of yourself everywhere. I love it.
yeah, hey, I can't wait to one day go back with Bale, show her around. That'll be neat.
Yeah, there's a
But
pleasure in being able to do that. Show where you came from, and oh, this was this, and I used to go there, and it's neat. There's this sort of pride of showing people this is where it all started.
absolutely, I mean, hometown pride. But
Hmm.
let's just see, Wendy. Let's see what the card has for us this week.
Yeah,
For some reason I'm getting the itch to know what's calling out to us. Something's calling.
right. So there's that thing. Sometimes you're just like, what is it? You can tell, but
I'm
what
feeling
is it?
one. I'm feeling a really good one today. Something's crying out that we all need to hear, I think.
Okay, perfect. Let's get on her there. Let's get on it.
So
Using the same one. I'm using the same deck. There's so many in this one that we still haven't touched. So I'm like, no, no, we'll still stick with our gratitude deck. Well, that was half the deck, but only. Okay, well, you know what? Two of them flipped over. It was like half the deck, but two of them flipped over. So we're gonna. Do you want to take both?
let's take them both. I think they're both meant to be heard today.
Yeah, let's take them both then. Well, one of them was an affirmation, and the other one was an inspiration. So the affirmation one, the little saying at the top is, when we try to pick out anything by itself, we find it hitched to everything else in the universe. So that's the little saying on the top. What it wants you to do is think of your very favorite place on earth. Close your eyes and imagine you're there. Take a moment to relax and appreciate how you feel, like how it feels to be there, because it will help remind you why it's your favorite place.
Amazing.
And
I don't
then,
know if anyone else just closed their eyes, but I just went to a very peaceful place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your favorite place on earth that you've been to. And then that matches with the when we try to pick out anything by itself, you find it hitched to things in the universe. Because if you did close your eyes and go to that place, where was it? Why did you love it? Oh wow, was it a nature thing? Was that what you loved about this place? Well, now you start connecting that out. Yeah.
Mm. Where's your favorite place, Wendy?
I went to like one of my favorite beaches on Cape Cod. It's called Chapin Beach, and it's one of these ones that at low tide, like you can walk for miles and miles, and the water isn't above your ankle yet at low tide. Be mindful, come back before the tide does.
Yeah.
But and the things that you find out there, because then it's just a bunch of tide pools, and so all the little like animals in there, and just being able to like walk and 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 it's still not above your ankle, and just know that like hours from now, if you were standing in that same spot, it'd be like you know what I mean? It's a gorgeous, gorgeous beach. But again, it's because it's the beach, it's the ocean, so you can, hear the seagulls, you can smell the water.
Hmm.
Um, if you've ever been unlucky, you can feel the pinch of the crab on your toe.
Oh yeah. How wonderful. Mr. Krabs got your toe.
Right. I think I agree. When we were younger, we did that walk. I don't necessarily, I remember a little bit of it. I think my sister remembers more, but we did that walk and we did encounter this giant crab, and like someone took their flip flop and like put it kind of on top of him, and he grabbed it with a claw. That indent stayed in the flip flop for a long time. Like I don't know if it was months or maybe not years, but like we came home with the indent still. He
Yeah.
was a big,
It's worth more after the indent, honestly.
right? Yeah.
A
So
memento in there.
where was your place?
My place, oddly enough, took me to the beach too. I don't know if it was a specific beach, but I was thinking of surfing and the heat, and I think the freedom that comes along with being at the beach. You know, you typically not don't have any other worries if you're at the beach because it's not like you can be at work and at the beach at the same time. So typically when you're there, you're free. There's nothing to do. You're in the heat. You get the water, you get all the good smells. You just can't beat the ocean.
Yeah, when you think about some of the common sounds that may end up on a sound machine, rain, you can hear rain other places. You know what I mean? Obviously, like sometimes there's like a jungle and stuff. Well, you got to be in the jungle for that. But some of those specific sounds, you literally, if you don't live by the ocean, you know that once you visit there and walk away, the only other time you're going to hear that is on a sound machine or a playlist on Spotify. Like it's going to rain almost anywhere somewhere lives people live. You know what I mean? So rain, you're going to catch again, but the sound of those waves and the powerful, thunder as it rolls onto the sand. When you walk away, you're not going to hear that anymore. So, the ocean is a powerful place. Yeah.
Have you ever gotten to see any like big swell, or have you only ever kind of maybe seen like 2, 3 footers?
Oh, no, on the outside of, I mean, I don't know how much people know. I mean, I could talk about it forever. I don't know how much people know about Cape Cod, Massachusetts, but it's off the coast of Boston. It's basically like the shape of your arm. So anything on the outside coast, there's one beach, Nauset Beach, that when there is storms out in the water, oh, they can get 10, 12 foot.
Oh
And
wow.
that's one of Steve's favorite places. He loves that there. It's yeah, nothing like that sound or that look or that, just it's so wild because you see it coming and it doesn't necessarily look so big, and then just as it gets there and you're standing in front of it, you're like, oh wow, that's taller than me. I mean, not that that's hard to do in my case, but wow, you're like, look at that. So yeah, I I think you probably have surfing. Hey, you've probably hit some, like seen some.
Well, I've never like that's the one thing I've being from Manitoba. And
Mm,
just the way my life's played out, I've never really been around an ocean for extended periods of time to where I
okay.
can really see some and hear. I want to see and hear like lightning and thunder crashing, like you were saying, rolling thunder kind of waves, but I never quite got to experience something like that yet. And
Okay.
I'm waiting for the day because, like I have told you about the book Barbarian Days, A Surfing Life, constantly he refers to, like, he talks all about every wave he's ridden and all this, but just the way he describes the sound and like the look and just the raw power it creates, I've never got to experience that firsthand, like some real strong, big waves.
Yeah, there's just that, like, I mean, as it rolls, but there's just something, like, as it's rolling in, but there's a switch once it like hits the break at right where that sand is, and it creates the bigger white foam because it's just rolling so hard. Yeah. Yeah, put that on the bucket list.
I was just about to say on the bucket list, there's a place called Nazaré, and it's in Portugal. And
Okay.
that is where every world record is broken for the largest wave ever ridden. So every
Oh,
year, I guess global warming or whatever keeps getting bigger and bigger. So this wave gets to be over 100 feet. It's Nazaré is known by its famous little red lighthouse. There's like a wall, giant wall everyone can go and stand and watch. But these waves get so big that the surfers can't even paddle into them. They have jet skis, they hold on, and the jet skis pull them in. And then
oh,
there's these 100 foot waves, like, size of skyscrapers, and they're literally riding them. It's unbelievable. And that's where they break the record every year for the largest wave ever ridden. And it's a sight to see. It is a sight. I want to go and witness that in person and hear it in person.
is there like there's got to be YouTube videos on that?
Oh yeah,
Some.
no.
Oh
There
God.
probably the world record is on YouTube too, and I would recommend anyone
Oh,
to go look Nazaré, Portugal, 100 foot wave. Unbelievable.
I'm totally writing that down because now I'm gonna go check that out. That sounds awesome.
It's worth it. It's unbelievable. And I'm not sure there's like so that's the biggest. There's something called just regular beach break surfers, and then there's big wave surfers.
Okay.
So some of them you got to get towed in because you will never be able to actually paddle on some of them. But people have paddled into like 40-foot waves. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that would be so what like it can be. I mean, it's super unpredictable. I mean, you never just the power of the ocean too, right? So just that idea of not being, paddling into a 40 foot. I mean, you never don't never turn your back. It doesn't take long for like, you see it anytime you're on the beach. A family gets something swallowed up. Like they're too close or they weren't paying attention, and out goes the like towels and whatever. You just gotta like pay attention because it changes so fast. So I can't even fathom doing that into a 40 foot.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh, right? Like, yeah.
I don't think I'd have the courage.
Have you ever seen Bondi Beach, the show?
No.
So like it's like a lifeguard show based out of Australia, and
Okay.
you'd be surprised, well, probably not, the amount of people that have zero knowledge about the ocean and they just go and they get sucked in by rip currents or
Yeah,
whatever. There's so much negligence around. Like people take the ocean not seriously enough. That thing can kill you.
it can. And even just standing, that's standing at the water where the ocean just meets the sand. It can, if you're not paying attention and it's a big enough wave, if you're not necessarily a good swimmer, or if you like gulp in a bunch of air and water when it catches you, it's going to take you for a bit. Like, you're going to come out because it's not deep. You're right at the sand, but it's going to knock you off your feet and put you under for a second or two. And that's, yeah, and that's maybe what's so attractive to it for me is just how powerful it is at all the different stages of. I always find it amazing when I see a video of look what just washed up on shore, and then they've done research and they're like, ship that, whatever has been sunk since 1922. And you're just like, how, like, it's sunk. So it was way out there and it went all the way to the bottom or whatever. How is it on the beach over here now? Like, and that the way water moves things out there is just like,
Have you ever sent out a message in a bottle?
yes,
Actually?
yes, no reply, but
Oh, that's cool. Hey,
yeah,
no reply yet.
yeah, yeah. And I even like saved it for, I mean, you can do it off the sand or whatever, but we went whale watching. And so I waited till we were like out, pitched it. Nothing yet.
It'll turn up. It'll turn up. Maybe you'll be the one to find it.
Wouldn't that be funny? Oh Lord, that'd just be like the full circle, right? That'd be hilarious. Have you?
No, but it got me thinking, did you ever do time capsules in your day?
Um, I think there was one in like a school project. Whether I've done one on my own recreationally, no.
Yeah, there's one I remember where I buried one when I was a kid in my neighbor's backyard. I
Oh,
wonder, like, how does that ever get found? Like, is anyone supposed to tell them? Is it there forever now? Like, am I supposed to go back and try and dig it up? I don't know.
well, I guess it depends. Some people like bury it with the intention of, I want my son to open this when he's 18, like because there'll be stuff in it that you know for him to be able to use or for her if your daughter's doing it. And then sometimes it's just simply for history. And so who knows? Maybe one day those people are going to decide they need a pool, and
Right?
then we're going to be digging up and out it'll come. And then that's what's so neat. It's hearing when that stuff comes up. You're like, oh my God, how did you find, like, there's that one, that's not in the ground, but there's Melissa the laundry lady on TikTok that's so super fun. She bought a house and she was fixing it up, a lot of it herself. The stuff that she found in the walls from like back in the day when they would fill the walls with whatever, like for insulation. So like shoes and like newspaper. It like, oh God, that stuff is so fun. I love like watching the uncovering of like, wow.
So much mystery out there.
I know. I know. Okay, so our second card, I know we went off there. I'll go fast if we're trying to be fast. So our second one was an inspiration. Um, and it's this one you might have to sit for a bit with yourself. What have you grown tired of in your life? Where do you feel bored? What if these sensations were opportunities to reimagine the roles you're playing? That one can
Interesting
be
one.
hard. So, what have you grown tired of in your life, and where do you feel bored? Even that sort of narrowing that down can sometimes be, where you're bored.
Like, I was kind of talking about this a little earlier when I was talking about rediscovering myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was trying to say, so the mindset I was in when I go running now, I can tell there's a clear difference. Like I can no longer tap into who I was and that old mindset. And that's been so interesting to me because it's when you do something that big, it's
Mm-hmm.
not that I'm bored of it now. It's just maybe I'm bored. I'm just not able to recreate what it used to be to me. I think maybe when there is still something to prove and you've told the world, this is what I'm going to do. So there is no failing. So every day you go out there, you put in the work so you make sure you don't fail. But then that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I can't even imagine re-entering that era of like, I don't want to say there was just like this grandiose I didn't have like an ego, an outwards ego, but there's like this grandiose ego, and you feel dangerous when you're working out that much and getting that much cardio. And yeah, I've kind of said it a whole bunch this episode, but it's just been fascinating to me
Yeah.
trying to like figure out how do I even get back there. But I think that maybe part of my internal body is bored of just running. I don't know.
I think you nailed. I wrote it down because I was like, boom, when you said it. Recreate what it means to me. Sometimes someone's definition of bored, or if there's enough of a negative connotation to it for them, then you're just like, oh no, it can't necessarily be boredom. Being bored with something doesn't necessarily have to have that negative connotation. It's not the same as your mom yelling at you when you were younger. You're bored, go outside and play. Um, Sometimes we're bored because we're not challenged enough, or the challenge has to change, or maybe we're just not interested in that anymore. Like, so it this one is really a big one to sort of sit with, because even the idea that you are bored with something sometimes makes people feel like, oh, they can hold guilt with it. There's no need to, but they can. I've sort of encountered that with readings before. um but yeah, it's just recreating what it means to you. That was a powerful statement you said in that one. But it's sort of when the second part that says, what if these sensations were opportunities to reimagine the roles you're playing? That's another good way, another hint to sort of help you see where you might be bored. Because sometimes we feel a little off. We're not even sure that it is boredom, but once you nail it,
Yeah, that final sentence was actually a very good way to rope that all together. Is there one that strikes out to you that that this one's resonating with you with?
for me, for where I feel bored, um, I was trying to think of that as I was reading it. Um, I think a little bit lately, like there's some distraction coming in, but I think a little bit lately, there's been a level of boredom with the things that have to be done. So, okay, there's so much in the house. I want to minimize so that there's less that has to be done. If you have a lot less clutter and things going on, then the way you organize or clean or whatever becomes less. Or
Mm.
just, I've sort of become a little bit bored, um, the big amount of surroundings, because I feel the big need to like minimize more. And it can get boring because then you have to do more if you're cleaning or minimizing. Sometimes that's fun and sometimes it's just boring. You're like, come on. So I think I'm definitely feeling that sort of bored vibe with too much. That's getting boring now. Forget it. It's time to do an overhaul.
Interesting. One thing that kind of struck out to me when you were talking about that, when you said bored with the things that need to get done, something
Mm,
along those lines. Maybe you feel it too in the air, but sometimes it almost feels like in the air, there's just like times where everyone's like getting everything done. And then there's maybe like a collective burnout, and everyone's just like, I don't even want to go on social media. I don't want to even interact with anyone. I don't want to take care of anything that needs to be taken care of. I just want to chill, relax. Maybe, that spark is slightly gone.
yeah,
And then after a while, I don't know what recalibrates everything. And then you find your spark again. You
yeah,
find the love again of the things you got bored with. And then it slowly starts to catalyst back in the right direction. And then you reach that point where, what's this? Why am I doing this again? What's this for? What's even the point of all this? Does it,
yeah,
what the heck? And then you just kind of, you lose that spark again. And then it's very challenging to try and maintain like 100%, 365 days of the year. That's why it's so important um to just be like not hard on yourself because
yeah, exactly. And not like busy things that come up. It just like, the stuff that's supposed to being done. But if you haven't like reorganized or done this or that or recently, yeah, you can get feeling stuck in that like monotonous. Yeah, I think that's the one that sort of comes up for me. Is I've definitely been noticing that lately, and I've been working at it. Been working at it corner by corner, but yeah, because then it's different. Then you may be like, oh, look, we have room to move that over there. And now your living room looks different. And so your environment looks different. So it all makes a difference.
Right. One thing I'd ask you a question about here. Well, let's say with your tarot readings and
Yeah.
just your when you do live, especially for that kind of stuff, do you find there's like different it comes in waves where there's sometimes where you
Can
feel
you give me
super
one sec,
engaged?
Jax?
Yep.
Just give me one sec. Hang on. Let me just pause this. Hang on.
No
Yeah.
wor
Okay. Yep. Okay. Okay, we're good. Sorry.
no
Go
worries.
ahead. Let's
No worries.
we'll have to cut that
Um,
one out. Sorry.
no worries. I was just wondering, is there any like do you go through phases where you're like loving it? You know, you can feel the energy you're putting out, you're feeling it coming back, you feel like, wow, like this is so much fun. And then there might be times where you're just like, I'm not, I love, you know, you'll always love it and have that passion for it, but it's just not clicking with you. That maybe you don't feel like it's clicking with other people. And then you're like, why am I doing this? And then maybe you'll see something again that re-sparks it, and then you come back with fresh energy.
That I think that can happen when if I'm not feeling balanced, like if I've sort of let a bunch of overwhelm happen, or I'm not working on my own balance or feeling, okay, I'm making sure I'm taking care of me, people around me, and my cup is full. So
Mm,
sometimes I can feel that like shut down a little bit if the cup isn't full. Um, but it's a bit of a catch 22 because doing those things, doing the cards, doing the tarot, and like being on there, providing healing or even leading a meditation, whatever, fills the cup. So it can be a bit of a catch 22, but we all have stuff going on and there's distraction everywhere. So when I start to feel that, I'm like, okay, time to sit back and gotta recalibrate here and put some, maybe do more meditation or take a break here. And, then I always come back. But I think it's a lack of balance that'll show up for me.
absolutely. I love how you said that. Whenever our cups tend to be full is when we're typically thriving in all of our realms. Um, yeah, one
Yeah.
last thing. It's a little bit about myself again, but that's one thing I've learned to actually, one of the things I've been loving working through is having so many more responsibilities and people. I'm not filling my cup anymore or putting myself
Yep.
first, and I'm actively noticing the differences it's making, and then
Yeah.
go through phases where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna start refilling my cup, and then you see the tangible difference it's making.
Yeah.
So I was always, I'm a very big preachy guy, obviously, but when you're I was always on the other side of the fence where everything came so easy. I was filling my own cup, doing all these things I love, and it was just like the answers are so obvious, guys. Just, go do it. And then I love now being on the other end of it where I'm like, I know all the answers and what to do, but now it's like actually trying to apply them and relearning everything, and
Yep.
it's a whole new set of energies and stuff to figure out and understand. I love it. Like I don't need to be in my prime and be the best version of myself year after year after year. I'm really loving this slight recalibration time.
And that's so important. I'm writing that down too. That is so important. That recalibration time. Because again, it doesn't mean we have to abandon ship on everything that was ever, but we all need to recalibrate. Absolutely. And it can certainly bring up new things. It can unbury some things we've maybe pushed down. We all need to recalibrate. And I'm glad that you recognize that that's a great, you're enjoying this time. You're not like, what's happening? I mean, you might notice there's a shift, and maybe if you're noticing, you've said a few times in this episode, how do I get back to that? So even if you feel like some stress at all ever around that part, you still recognize that this is an important
No, yeah.
stage to be in, and I love it. Yeah.
I love it, like learning so much, and yeah, it's a challenge, and it's just something to work towards, and it's cool, and it's
Yeah.
just yeah, I love like there's no way you're just gonna keep doing better year after year after year after year. There's gonna be some, even if it's just in your own head, some kind of stagnation, and it's cool like can you really put into practice now everything you've been preaching? And and it's been a very cool and fun journey for me.
It's a good test for yourself. Can you put into practice what you've been, and that's okay, because if you can't, then you know where you need to put the energy in, right?
Yes.
And it helps that you're preaching it, because that means you're aware of it. But are you putting it in there every day? And if not, then it's sort of like having the checklist already. Just got to
Mhm.
double check it once in a while. Yeah.
I never live in the past, but I'm constantly checking in. How did I feel in the past? What made me feel that way? When did I feel the best? When did I feel the worst? How do I feel
Mm,
now? What was I doing that made me feel like that? What happens when I try that now? And how do I feel now? So I'm checking in constantly, just
yeah.
not trying to let myself fall too far into the one side to the other. I'm really just riding the middle line right now, but it's been cool just checking in. I'm a whole, it's just like it's a whole different guy. And so it's been cool learning about this guy. And yeah, it's been awesome. But that's kind of all from me this week. It's been
Yeah,
nice catching back up with you, Wendy, and
absolutely.
talking about feelings and everything around it. Hopefully, some of our personal anecdotes might have clicked with some of you guys.
Yeah.
Please share if
Yeah.
anything in this episode caught your ear. We'd love to hear from you guys. Sorry about missing last week. Wendy, did you have any kind of closing thoughts or final ideas?
No, no, it was great to reconnect. That's good. It's all good. We have things pop up. We made up for it this week. Love it. And yeah, if anybody knows what your love language is, or just what your favorite one is in someone else, feel free to pop that in the group or in a comment. Um, that concept of love languages is so fun. All right, well, take care.
Oh, that was actually one last question,
Oh,
actually, not a wave.
no, no. Okay.
One thing I wanted to say to everyone, because we were talking about decorating our world, and that could have been
Hmm.
music or, things around our rooms or houses. But funny because the medium we're doing right now, podcasts too. Like you can decorate your mind with just the words you're listening to. So maybe our podcast does that for some of you guys. I know I have a few that I listen to pretty religiously that really get me to where I need to be on some of these days. So podcast too, you guys. So if we decorate your brain and our conversations lead you down a path where you feel like you're being more productive or more positive or like just feeling better overall,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely, and you're right, because that's decorating your mind, information, learning. I love it.
Yeah,
Love it. Well, but yeah, it'd be great to hear from people. I hope everybody's doing good. I hope the weather's changing for people and they're feeling it inside, getting outside. Yeah, and until next week.
till next week, you guys. Thanks for listening. And that was episode 12 of Putting the Feel Back in Tuesday. The end of Bob 123.
Yeah, that's the title. It's gonna be. All right, until next week, we will see ya.
Take care, you guys. Love you, Wendy. Love you
Love
all.
you too. See ya.